Pudgy Penguins just released their Pengu cryptocurrency to a full market cap of over $3 billion, with all the main Penguin NFT holders being given over $50,000 for free in this new cryptocurrency. And each Penguin itself is now worth over $70,000. Now you may be thinking, how is it possible that these cutesy little penguins are so expensive and owning one can give you as much as $50,000 for free? Well, stick around to hear the tale of how this forgotten NFT collection grew to become one of the most important brands in the whole of crypto and Web3. In the next few minutes, I'll look over the history of the penguins, from how they were created to the controversies along the way, and how they've become one of the top NFT collections today. So the Pudgy Penguins themselves were originally launched back on the 22nd of July 2021, where they sold out all 8,880 penguins in under 20 minutes for around $60 each back then, earning the team over $500,000 in mint fees. At the time, they were just another NFT collection launched in the mania of NFT collections of 2021. The founding team were led by a guy called Cole Therium on Twitter, and he had 3 other founder friends, and the penguin art itself was created by a freelance artist called Antoine Mingo. Now, in that time of 2021, 2022, the crypto was going through the mania of the bull market, where NFT collections were being minted daily and capturing hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars worth of money at mint, right? As the NFT collection prices just kept going up, there seemed to be no end to the euphoria, and people just minted more and more of these collections. The number one NFT collection at the time were the Bored Ape Yacht Club, who seemed to be consistently dominating everyone's attentions, with many Bored Apes being bought up by A-list celebrities like Eminem, Madonna, and Taylor Swift. Although it was later discovered that many of these were actually gifts, and these A-list celebrities weren't buying them, right? But that's part of the controversy that came out later. Nonetheless, at the time, the apes were really in vogue, and the floor price reached an eye-watering amount of $450,000 in late April 2022. And the company behind them, Yuga Labs, made huge amounts of money with other NFT mints, like the Mutant Apes that minted and made over 90 million, the Other Side mint where they made over 300 million, and even through venture capital, they raised over 450 million, a multi-billion-dollar valuation. Top collections like the apes command a huge amount of attention with their, eye-watering valuations. Meanwhile, the penguins had a lot of love throughout 2021, but they only had brief peaks of, over 12K floor prices. Floor price being the lowest price of a collection, right? But they dropped, and they were much closer to 2 ETH, which was around 8,000 at the time. Now, if you want to set up your first crypto wallet so you can get yourself some NFTs and take part in the growing global crypto economy, plus access over $1,900 worth of courses entirely for free, then click in the link below in the description. Most NFT projects at this time had no clear playbook to follow, so they basically just copied each other. Some promised to use the funds that they got from the mint to make games, while others suggested you were buying into the next big Disney-like brand. However, the only way most projects made any money was just to release new collections of NFTs, right? In those early days, Cole and the Pudgy team decided to do the same, probably due to a lack of ideas, right? And on the 19th of December, they released a new collection called the Lil Pudgies, with over 22,000 NFTs, or specifically 22,222 NFTs, with 8,888 being gifted to the original holders, the original Pudgy Penguin holders, and 13,334 minted through a different process. These little Pudgies were just as cute as the originals and very well received. After all, it was what most projects at the time were doing. The Penguins had a really strong community who loved the art, right? But things quickly became sour when the Lil Pudgy's companion egg, they had an egg that came with them, hatched and came out with these very bland looking fishing rods called Pudgy rods that are now called rogs. due to an early spelling mistake in a kind of derogatory way, right? The art looked like an afterthought, and the general community sentiment quickly began to shift, and Cole and his team, they've been promising games, books, tokens, but in practice, they the best they've been able to give were these rods, and they didn't really seem to know what they were doing. And then things came out ahead when a tweet thread came out from, this 9x9x9x9 on January 5th, where he'd had an internal conversation with the team, and it appeared to suggest that they'd basically taken all the money from the mints and were looking to abandon and sell the project. The community viewed it as a rug pull, meaning the founders were just going to leave the project and abandon it and take all the money. So the community quickly rallied against the team and voted them to be kicked out. And all that remained afterwards was for new buyers to take the Penguins off the founders' hands, right? There were a few interested bidders, but the big name that came out in this period, and the person who really shone through this process, was a guy called Luca Netz. At the time, Luca was still an unknown figure in crypto and Web3. And when he began rallying for support, not many people really knew who he was. He ended up spending, though, over $2.5 million, around that mark, to buy the Penguins, as he saw huge potential. Many were not convinced. They were impressed by his purchase, but they didn't know, what he was going to try to achieve with them. But he did regular calls in the Penguin Discord, which is their chat, and slowly more and more people got behind him. Luca himself was only 23 years old at the time, which is pretty incredible. But he'd already had some huge success in business. At 18, he'd made his first million selling dummy gold chains, and by 21, he'd made a name for himself scaling another toy brand called the Gel Blasters that grew massively in the US and were all over Walmart and different shelves, right? Luca believed he could replicate this success with the Pudgy Penguins. With a strong vision and great sales skills, he was able to rally people around him, and he kept people, with high spirits in the community. And he said from that day that his good plan was to make the Penguins be the #1 NFT collection. And most of the Penguins kind of rallied behind it and stuck with their mantra, the strong mantra they'd already kind of built in the community, which is, I am my penguin is me, right? That feeling grew stronger and stronger with Luca. His purchase finalized in April, and he released a roadmap that was somewhat similar to how Basie was releasing their roadmap, which made for a lot of excitement in the community. But he wasn't without his controversies, though. He was a young guy, and he still is young. And while many were excited by his past successes, many point to his failures. He'd allegedly sold rip-off merchandise and courses. He ran a paid group in Discord called Nets Trades, where he promoted some project that appeared to be rug pulls, and he's supposedly taken down old videos of himself boasting about having done some awkward, shady marketing stuff, right? So while many bought into Luca's vision, there were still many skeptics about what he'd be able to do with Pudgy Penguins. Crypto, as if it wasn't enough for the Penguins to be in this chaos, crypto headed into a prolonged bear market in 2022. First with the implosion of Terra Luna in May, then Celsius and Three Arrows Capital collapsed in June, and finally FTX blew up spectacularly in November after it came out that they'd been committing massive fraud, right? As the market headed into a crypto winter, it dragged down all the NFT prices along with it. Collections like the Apes fell from that $450,000 high to just $27,000 per Basie earlier this year in 2024. They just kept falling. As you can see from this graph, they've fallen and fallen and fallen, right? people built up a lot of hate towards NFTs, and the term almost became like a dirty word, right? Not many people like to talk about NFTs unless they're in the space. And Yuga and Apes in particular were seen, as a complete disaster. They literally raised hundreds of millions of dollars. And most of the other collections also massively suffered drops and are likely never to go back to their peak, right? However, this is where Luca and the Penguins, instead of giving in, actually doubled down. Luca worked diligently with his team to bring his original vision to life of making toys out of the Penguins and growing the brand. He made it very clear that he had no intention to dilute the already diluted collection with further NFTs. You had the main Pudgy Penguins, the Lil Pudgies, and the rods, right? There's already loads of NFTs in the Pudgy ecosystem. Instead, he believed the value accrual of the NFTs, i.e. the price going up of the NFTs, would happen through getting Pudgies to become the de facto brand that pushed Web3 to the masses. And he made a very important tweet thread about it back in August 23, where basically he, you can kind of see it here, he basically said that as the Pudgy brand grew, there were more consumers and fans, eventually they would become buyers of the NFTs because they'd buy the NFTs as collector's items. And since he wasn't going to, mint new NFTs like everyone else was doing, this inherent scarcity of the NFTs would drive up their price, right? For anyone who actually paid attention in the crypto space, the Penguins have been really impressive. They've worked diligently and done more than any single NFT project during the past few years in the bear market. I've got some examples here, but actually I haven't even got all the examples because they've just done so much. Firstly, and most importantly, Luca managed to make good on his main promise of getting the Pudgy plush toys released in several shops. He started with Walmart in the US, and it grew, and it's in other shops all around the world now, and you can even order them online, right? There have been hundreds of happy customers who've created unboxing videos sharing their satisfaction with the new Penguin toys, and the company is literally making millions in revenue. They've already sold over $10 million worth of toys. Yeah, maybe I can see, let me see if I can find a cute video. Look, this is just a really cute unboxing video. Some kids getting the...
It's a shark Pudgy penguin! Yeah, mommy, it's so cute, okay?
Very cute. Next, Luca revamped the website and created an online experience called Pudgy World. That's still in alpha, it's still kind of growing, but you can dress up your Pudgy and roam around, different online mini games and experiences. And every Pudgy Penguin toy holder can actually have their own virtual Pudgy Penguin in this Pudgy World that they can dress up, right? So the toy is actually married up with this online world, an online experience. The Penguins also did a few industry firsts, like allowing Lil Pudgies to move across chains, because they were all minted on the Ethereum chain, through layer 0 technology, basically just another piece of technology. They allowed Pudgies to move on from different networks, right? So they called it soul transport, and it allowed them to bridge the NFTs. So they were minted on Ethereum, but through the soul transport, which still exists, you can move a Pudgy Penguin into Polygon, Arbitrum, or the Binance Smart Chain, which is really unique. NFTs weren't doing that, and they're still not doing that, right? Moreover, they also created a licensing platform for the NFT holders to license their own Pudgies. So you not only do you have IP rights, they've actually made it easy for you to leverage those IP rights. And so all the actual toys that they've made have been made by licensing the IP of the original holder of the NFT. So I'm not 100% sure how it's structured, but the holders are essentially making some return on the sales of the plush toys, which is pretty incredible, right? And that's not even to mention the incredible marketing videos that they've made along the way, right? For every moment that they've released something new, they've also released, almost every moment, they've also released marketing videos. I'll just show you a little bit of, this one here. good video. It's worth the watch. Very cute. There's a disaster. I think you get the picture, right? They've just done an incredible job in building up the brand, right? And getting people excited. They've even grown their Instagram to over 1.7 million followers, and they're constantly churning out regular memes and GIFs of the Pudgy penguins. You know, there's people constantly sharing these penguins, and many people don't even know that ultimately they're a Web3 native brand, right? It's very common at this point for people to share Pudgy penguin GIFs with each other without knowing that they came from NFTs. Through all this work, the Pudgy penguins have become a legitimate growing Web3 native brand that goes beyond Web3. Luca has succeeded in doing what he set out to do, right? And in the process, their parent company, Igloo, even raised $11 million from the Peter Thiel Founders Fund, which they have since used, as I'll explain later, to create a new L2. I'll mention that in a little bit. And while, you know, $11 million pales in comparison to the hundreds of million dollars that Yuga Labs have raised, all of, you know, the Pudgy's continuous success was enough for them to flip the floor price of the apes earlier this year and become the #1 NFT collection, other than the CryptoPunks, but that's a separate story. The latest price, if we check now, that has Pudgy's just above the apes. But if you consider just how much money the apes had and the origin story of the Pudgy's, it's incredibly impressive, right? Luca and the community, the penguin community, literally willed into reality something he's been saying for the past few years about the penguins becoming the #1 collection and him being the face of NFTs. Now, there's no doubt they've become the de facto biggest and most well-known NFT collection. And as we've entered this new crypto somewhere where everything's kind of buzzing again, it really seems like they're just getting started and we can expect bigger and bigger things. This week, all eyes were on the penguins as they released their own token called Pengu, as I said at the start, to further cement their place as #1. They intelligently airdropped it to not only Pudgy holders, but to all sorts of long-term Web3 users in Ethereum and Solana ecosystem. So even if you didn't have a Pudgy, you were getting rewarded with Pengu, right? A lot of people were. And so far, it's been incredibly well received. Pengu's total market cap is holding above $3 billion, which is currently around 3 times the market cap of the Bored Apes coin, ApeCoin, right? Once again, just as a comparison, they've raised hundreds of millions, and the penguins have not had that sort of capital to achieve all of this. It's a momentous moment for the penguins, as their coin has already become one of the most valuable cryptocurrencies in the space, right? $3 billion. And if you think they're finished, you'd be wrong, as they previously bought up the Frame blockchain and repurposed it and renamed it to Abstract Chain with that money from the Founders Fund I mentioned earlier, and they're looking to release that early next year, right? So all of this is incredible to think about, given that only a few years ago, they were seen as a forgotten bargain bucket NFT collection who were abandoned by the founders, right? Just like hundreds of other NFT collections that were released in 2021 and have since been forgotten. And now they are reaping the benefits of their hard work. The cheapest Pudgy NFTs, which are the rods, currently cost around $3,000. So we can see here the rods, it's called Pudgy Present, they're close to $4,000, $3,500, $4,000. The Lil Pudgies are 2 ETH, say ETHs are around 3,600. They are worth over $7,000, close to $8,000. And the Pudgy penguins themselves are worth over 70,000, right? That's insane, from $60 mint a few years back and a kind of abandoned project. Pudgy penguins. Oh, and that's not, importantly remembering that the Pengu airdrop this week has earned the Lil Pudgy holders an airdrop of over $5,000 and the main penguin holders over $50,000 for free. They literally just from holding the NFT, just from owning the NFTs, right? Pudgy Penguin story is a real testament to Luca Net's strong vision and execution and the Pudgy community that never gave up and kept repeating that mantra, I am my penguin and my penguin is me. Pudgy penguins are on a high right now. Pengu's been released, and there's still the likelihood that the abstract chain have their own governance token, so another token would get released for Pudgy holders. With all of this, let's see if the penguins can keep riding this momentum and continue to draw out the blueprint for what a successful NFT project can look like. And after all that, if you want to set up your first crypto wallet so you can get yourself some NFTs and take part in this growing global crypto economy, plus access over $1,900 worth of courses entirely for free, then click in the link in the description below and I'll see you there.